The maitre d' barely glances at me before shaking his head. I'm sorry, ma'am. There's no reservation under your name. A strange, sharp pause settles in my chest. The weight of those words, simple yet deliberate, hits like a slap. Blink. That's impossible. I keep my voice measured, firm, refusing to let the first flicker of doubt creep in. I was invited. My husband's family is already here. The maitre d's brows lift, his lips parting as if to offer some diplomatic apology. When suddenly, I hear it. A voice. One that is both familiar and infuriating. Oh, Eleanor. Judith Sinclair. My mother. In-law voice slides through the air like silk wrapped around steel. Soft, yet razor-sharp. Did you really think I'd include you in tonight's dinner? I feel the first stirrings of ice in my veins, but I don't turn immediately. I know this game. Slowly, deliberately, I pivot on my heel, meeting the gaze of the woman who has spent years reminding me I do not belong. Judith Sinclair stands just a few feet away, poised as if she were a queen surveying her kingdom. Her emerald green gown is a statement. Old money elegance, effortless superiority. Her silver blonde hair is swept into a perfect chignon, every strand meticulously placed. A matching diamond bracelet glitters at her wrist, a reminder of her wealth, her status, her control. And just behind her, my husband, Richard, sits stiffly. At the table, his hands folded over his napkin, his jaw tight. Silent. Always silent. Beside him, his sisters, Emily and Laura, smirk behind their wine glasses. Their amusement barely contained. They knew. They all knew. Judith tilts her head, watching me, waiting for my reaction. Daring me to flinch. I won't give her the satisfaction. I smooth my expression, keeping my voice steady. Unreadable. I don't understand. Judith's smile widens, but there's something sharper behind it now. A blade hidden beneath lace. This is a family dinner, dear, she says sweetly, mockingly. Then she leans in ever so slightly, her voice dropping into a quiet, cruel lilt. A place like this is a bit out of your league, don't you think? The words slice through me like a scalpel. Precise. Designed to wound. Behind her, Richard does nothing. Says nothing. Emily takes a slow, delicate sip of wine, her eyes gleaming with enjoyment. Laura nudges her sister under the table, as if tonight's entertainment has just begun. The humiliation presses in like a weight, thick and suffocating. Can feel the eyes of nearby patrons flickering toward the unfolding scene. Curious glances. Whispered observations. Judith wants me to crumble. She wants me to shrink. But what she doesn't know, what none of them realize, is that I stopped feeling small a long time ago. I inhale slowly. Exhale just as smoothly. Then I turn. Not to Richard. Not to Judith. But to the maitre d'. End. With the same unwavering calm, I say, would you be so kind as to ask Walter Emerson to come out? Judith blinks, her smile faltering. Just for a fraction of a second. I catch it. And that is how I know. The game has just begun. Judith lets out a soft, condescending laugh. The kind meant to dismiss. Belittle. Erase. Oh please. She purrs, her fingers adjusting the diamond bracelet at her wrist. Do you really think the owner of this place will come out for you? I meet her gaze evenly. My voice calm. Deliberate. Yes. For the first time all evening, something shifts in her eyes. The smallest flicker of doubt. Before the maitre d' can even react, a deep voice cuts through the tension like a knife. Smooth and authoritative, Eleanor, I turn just as Walter Emerson steps into view. At 63, Walter is the very image of power. Broad shoulders, salt and pepper hair swept back neatly, his tailored navy suit sharp as ever. The man built the Emerson Club from the ground up, transforming it into a sanctuary for the elite and untouchable. And he is respected. Feared, even. The moment his voice reaches the table, everything changes. Judith freezes mid-smirk, her perfectly manicured fingers gripping the stem of her wine glass. Richard stiffens, his posture locking, his knuckles wide against the tablecloth. And Emily and Laura? The Sinclair sisters? Always so eager to whisper and sneer? They go completely, utterly still. Walter's sharp eyes land on me first, and unlike the others, there is no condescension. No dismissal. Only recognition. It's been too long, he says, his voice carrying through the hushed dining room. I allow a slow, knowing smile to spread across my lips. It has. But it seems there's been an oversight. I gesture toward the gilded, linen-draped table where Richard and his family sit so comfortably, so arrogantly. Apparently, I wasn't included in the reservation. Walter's expression darkens just slightly. But it's enough. I see it. The way his gaze flickers from me to Judith, then to Richard, then back to me. He understands. And then, in that calm, effortless way of his, he says, "That won't do at all." Judith recovers quickly, her grip tightening around her glass. "She's not on the list," she says, her voice still light, but now edged with something defensive. She lifts her chin, attempting to salvage control. "This restaurant doesn't just make exceptions." Walter interrupts, his tone is silken steel, the kind that does not allow argument. "You're absolutely right, Mrs. Sinclair." Judith smirks, the illusion of victory already forming in her mind. But then, Walter continues. "This establishment does not accept last-minute walk-ins." A beat of silence. Then, Judith smiles, pleased with herself. There. She thinks she's won. But she doesn't know what's coming next. Walter shifts his stance slightly before adding, in the same calm, measured voice, "But Eleanor is not a walk-in, she is family." The dining room goes still. Emily's wineglass wobbles in her grasp, nearly slipping from her fingers. Laura's lips part slightly, eyes darting between me and Walter in open shock. And Richard? My husband, my supposed partner. He pales. But it's Judith who matters most. For the first time, her smug, polished veneer cracks. Her carefully curated world. Her sense of control. Her belief that she alone dictates who belongs and who doesn't. Shifts under her. I watch it happen in real time, a tightness in her jaw. A flicker of confusion in her otherwise calculating eyes. A realization that for the first time, she does not have the upper hand, and oh, how she hates it. The maitre d', still standing at his podium, immediately straightens. "I'll have a table prepared for you immediately, Miss Hayes." Silence. Judith's fingers curl into a fist against the tablecloth. And I simply smile. Because I have just won the first battle. The maitre d' pulls out my chair, and I take my seat at the elegantly set table. The linen napkin is crisp, the candlelight soft, the low murmur of refined conversation humming around us. The air is thick with anticipation. Across from me, Judith Sinclair lifts her wine glass, hiding the anger simmering beneath her flawless exterior. The woman has spent a lifetime perfecting her control, her ability to manipulate, to belittle, to erase. But tonight, she is losing. Still, she does not retreat. No. Judith is the kind of woman who will smile even as she sharpens the blade. She tilts her glass slightly, the deep red of the wine catching the light. "Well," she muses, her voice deceptively light. "I suppose it's only natural that someone like you would know people in the service industry." My fingers trace the rim of my own glass, my expression unreadable. "Service industry?" Judith waves a delicate dismissive hand. "Yes. You know. Kitchen work. Waitstaff. Not exactly the kind of careers we're accustomed to in this family." There. It is. The real insult beneath the polished words. I let the comment land, let it hang in the air just long enough for the tension to sharpen. Then, with deliberate calm, I set my glass down. Tell me, Judith. I tilt my head slightly. Who do you think funded Richard's first investment? A sharp, stunned silence falls over the table. Emily gasped softly, her manicured fingers tightening around her napkin. Laura stiffens, her wide eyes darting toward Richard. And my husband? Richard's grip on his fork turns white-knuckled. He does not speak. He does not look at me. And Judith? Oh, Judith's mask slips. It's only for a fraction of a second, but I see it. The crack. The widening of her eyes. The slight stiffening of her shoulders. That's ridiculous, she scoffs. Too quickly. Too defensively. I smile. Slow. Sharp. Calculated. Is it? The weight of my words settles over the table like a crushing force. I lean in slightly. My voice smooth but lethal. Richard didn't have the capital, Judith. He had ideas. Dreams. But no means to make them a reality. And who do you think changed that? Judith blinks. Once. Twice. The first beads of uncertainty creeping into her icy confidence. I sit back, my posture relaxed, my control absolute. Without me, I say, voice quiet but deliberate. Your son would be nothing. A slow, dawning horror flickers across Judith's face. And Richard? He finally looks at me. And for the first time, I see it. Fear. Judith Sinclair, the unshakable matriarch, the woman who has orchestrated every social event, every family decision, every manipulation with perfect precision, sits frozen. Her face drains of color, her carefully crafted mask of control splintering at the edges. That's not possible. Her voice lacks its usual sharpness. This is the first time I have ever seen doubt in her eyes. I shrug, completely at ease in the moment. Believe what you want, but without my money, your son wouldn't have a career. The truth hangs heavy in the air, suffocating the illusion she has built around her perfect family. Emily and Laura, who have spent the entire evening whispering and snickering, now turn to Richard, waiting for him to deny it. He does not. He remains frozen in place, his hand still gripping his fork, his knuckles white, his jaw tight. He is caught. Exposed. And for the first time, I see it in his expression. Not just embarrassment, not just shame, but fear. Because he knows I am right. I let out a slow exhale, tilting my head as I study him. You think you can humiliate me, I say softly, by painting me as some gold digger? That's laughable. Judith's mouth opens, then closes. She has no defense. Emily and Laura shift uncomfortably in their seats, the glee of my public humiliation replaced with the uneasy realization that they have miscalculated. And Richard? For the first time all evening, he speaks. His voice is weak. Hesitant. Desperate. Eleanor, let's talk about this. I let out a small, humorless laugh. Talk. Now, after all the years of silence, all the times he allowed his mother to demean me, all the moments he chose compliance over loyalty, now he wants to talk. I pick up my napkin and dab the corners of my mouth with practiced ease. Then, I rise to my feet, slow and controlled, smoothing down my dress as I do. I meet his eyes, holding them for a moment, letting the weight of the moment settle over him like a crushing weight. There's nothing left to talk about. Richard, his Adam's apple bobs, his lips part as if he is about to protest, but I don't give him the chance. I turn to Judith, whose expression is now a carefully concealed mask of rage. I let the moment stretch, let her feel the power shift, before I speak again. I'm leaving. Judith flinches. Richard's fingers twitch. Emily and Laura exchange wide-eyed looks. And then, I deliver the final blow. And I'm taking everything you thought was yours with me. The air at the table turns, suffocating as realization sets in. This isn't just a public humiliation for them. This is the beginning of their ruin. I arrived home before Richard. I didn't need to rush. I had already won. The apartment was eerily silent, the ambient city noise muffled by the floor-to-ceiling windows. I walked through the space that I had paid for, my heels quicking against the marble floors of the home that he thought belonged to him. It didn't. Not legally. Not financially. Not anymore. I entered his office, his sanctuary, his so-called kingdom, and walked straight to the safe. The passcode hadn't changed. Of course it hadn't. With a quiet beep, the door unlocked, revealing stacks of financial documents, bank statements, and the contract that mattered most. The contract that proved, beyond any doubt, that his wealth, his career, his empire, had been built on my money. I lifted the papers gently, as if I had all the time in the world, then took out my phone and snapped a picture. Evidence. By the time Richard walked through the door, I was waiting for him. Suitcase packed. Expression calm. He froze in the doorway. His gaze dropped to the bag, then snapped back to me. "Eleanor," he said, his voice uneven. "What are you doing?" I tilted my head, watching him. "You made your choice, Richard, back at that restaurant." His jaw tensed. "If you think you're walking away with half of everything," I laughed softly. A slow, deliberate sound. "Oh, Richard. You really should read your contracts more carefully." His face drained. Of color. I turned toward the door. "I finally see my worth." And I left. For the first time, free.